Here are all the tools I used to install the Hampton light. I used a cordless drill, both for drilling the holes for the anchors that came with the kit, and as well for driving the screws. This is a number 2 Phillips on here. You could also use a number 2 Phillips screwdriver for that. A 13/64 drill bit is what I used for the original anchors that came with the kit, and just an 8mm wrench here to get the toggle bolts off the wall from my from my rig. You may not need these at all because you may not have toggle screws like I had. So I used that. A marker to mark where you're going to drill your holes, a hammer to tap in the actual anchors, and a tape measure to make sure you're on center. And I'll show you these anchors a little bit. I'll go into a little bit more detail with these anchors, because if you're using these anchors, you don't need the drill bit and you don't need the drill either, as you can just punch a hole with the screwdriver into the wall, and then just to start these, and then go all the way with your screwdriver to put the anchors in. But again, it's nice to have the cordless drill. Here are the Bulldog Hardware AN185 wall drillers, and they are a screw-in anchor for drywall, and they're exceptionally good. These are number 8s, and there's 4 in each package. They're not very expensive either. They're under $3 or $4, I think, not even that. You can get these on Amazon. I believe you can also buy them on Walmart, but I will put a link to these at Amazon, so let's take a look at them. All right, and here's what you have. You have a robust anchor with a nice large head on it, and it's driven in by a Phillips screwdriver, and then you put your supplied anchor screws into the center of them like that, and off you go. And these are, I can't recommend that you go get these enough, or that you, when you order this lamp, that you get a box of 4 of these, because they're a far superior anchor to what is supplied with this kit. Certainly I would not use anything but these. But the other anchors will work, but they'll be kind of weak. I'm going to unbox the Hampton bath lighting 3-light vanity lamp. Basically, it's a vanity lamp with 3 lamps in it, or light with 3 lamps in it, and it's the model 7462-113. And I got it on Amazon for $20, so it's a pretty good deal actually. So let's take it out of the box, see what we get. All right, so let's open it up. Okay, right off the bat, excuse me. There we go. It looks like we got a hardware quick kit, a couple of anchors, wall anchors, and some electrical connectors, and a couple of screws in the package. So, and it doesn't look like it's really sealed, but it looks like everything's still in there. So don't throw the box away until you check the box for any other contents. We have a installation guide, but which I will follow. But I will show you how to install this as well. Looks pretty good. Back plate. It basically shows you how to put it all together. Let's get at the lamp. So let's take this piece of cardboard out of here. And we have the lamp itself, nicely wrapped in plastic. And this is an oil rubbed bronze type of lamp. So let me just get it out of the plastic so you can see what the finish looks like. And if you've been watching my videos, I've been updating my bathroom with oil rubbed bronze finish amenities. And this is going to probably be my last piece. So there it is, pretty straightforward. Looks like a backing plate on it, so shouldn't be too much of an issue putting it on, but I'll show you how to do that. Now, remember I told you to watch out for parts inside the case. Well, I just found one. There's a little screw that went flying out of there when I took that out of the box, out of that bag I mean. So, you know, careful, because as I said, that parts package that was on top wasn't really sealed. It was just sort of stapled together, but it's wide open. Things can roll out of there. So we're putting that back in there. And I'm assuming these are going to be the lamps, or the bulbs. Sorry, the shades I should say. Let's see what we got. Yes, sir. That's what we got. And we should have 3 of these. I would check them all prior to installing them. Make sure they're all in one piece. And because if they're not, you're going to have to return it. So let's take a look at the other ones just for good measure. Okay. And nicely packaged, so that should keep them safe. There's a little sticker inside there cautioning you not to put an over 60 watt bulb in there or 13 watt CFL. So, you know, I think I'll take that out of there because it doesn't look great, and I know what size of bulb should be going on there. So that one's good, and the third one is good. So let me, there's my receipt. I kept that, of course. I look through the box to make sure that I don't have any stray pieces of hardware. And you should do this too. Nope, nothing there. Okay, so that's all the hardware. Let's stack it up here on the table so you can see it. We've got the lamp assembly itself. Very nice. And we have the lamps themselves. Here we go. That's it for the hardware. Well, we got all the hardware out of the box. So next we need to disassemble the lamp assembly to actually get it to be installed. So let's start with the basic stuff. There's 3 lockdowns for each lamp cover, these things, and they need to come off. So we're going to basically just turn them. They're already installed. Just turn these lamp covers like this, counterclockwise. Next, the back, there's a back plate, back mounting plate installed on it, basically, and it needs to come off, but you know, pretty basic to do that. You see these 2 little balls here, just turn them counterclockwise. Remove them, put them aside somewhere where you're not going to lose them, and just lift the top assembly off, and there's your back plate. Notice a few things here. There's 2 studs coming out of it. Number 1. Number 2, there's a ground GND there. That's where the ground strap is going to go when you're mounting it. And I will show you that when mounting it. I'll turn around and look at the back here, and you'll see that it's all pre-wired pretty nicely, but pretty nice actually. And basically we have a quick disconnect here for the electrical, and I was wondering, you know, why would I need a quick disconnect here for the electrical? Well, here's the nice thing about this. You can do the electrical connections with 3 wires. You can do that without having to hang the lamp up there and have it dangling around. In my case, that's a big plus because there's a mirror there, and I wouldn't want to scratch it or break it or anything like that. So that's the plus in this system. And once you have it wired up and you know, in the with the current existing wiring, then all you need to do is just bring the lamp up, snap it in, lock it. There's a little latch there on the actual lock. There it is, and then it should be alive and or ready to go at that point. So let's take down my old Hollywood lights that I have in my vanity, my half bath, and put this nice looking unit back up. Here are my Hollywood lights that I'm going to be replacing, and with me and with you it should be the same. Safety first. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my breaker panel and cut the power for this circuit. In other words, I'm going to flip the circuit breaker, and if you have just a twist-on type of fuse on there, like you know, the old type, just untwist the fuse for the circuit that runs this lamp, because yeah, you could just turn the power off, right, and the light would go off. Great. Here's the problem with that. There may be other wires behind it outside of the one that's running the light, and they may be live. Who knows, right? You never know what's behind the wall. So safety first. Best thing to do here is you know, trip the fuse by switching it off at the circuit breaker, or pulling the fuse out at the panel as well. So I'm going to do that next, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, I have the breaker off. So the next thing I need to do here is take off all the actual bulbs on this unit, and so I'm going to do that. Now careful, if it's been on for a while, these bulbs are still going to be hot, so watch yourself. So just twist them counterclockwise like any other regular bulb and pull it out. Next, we have these collars here around the actual sockets for these bulbs, and these on mine are just friction fit, so I just basically hold them and pull them off like that. They just pull right off. So we're going to pull all 4 of those off. And at this point, you've taken everything you need to take off to get that plate, that front face plate off. So that's it. It's just pull a friction fit, and it comes right off. And now we're into the back plate. Now this back plate's got to come off of here, and I see that it's got 1, 2, and 3 screws, but this 3rd screw here, that's a ground screw, so it's probably not securing to anything other than the plate itself. Here's a closer look at those screws. I got the ground screw there, and it's a green screw right there. One anchor bolt and another anchor bolt here. Now I was going to remove those anchor bolts first, but before I do that, I'm just going to undo the wiring here. And this basically you just take these Marats, I think what they're called, or these screw-on caps off the wires like that. So I'm making sure that you can see this. Just unscrew them counterclockwise. Again, make sure you have no power. There we go. And that exposes the wires, and you can see there's 2 wires here connected together, and the rest of them are same with the blacks, the same thing. So we'll just take that off. So now we got the black and the white wire off of there, and they're color coded, so it's pretty straightforward. So next we're going to remove the ground screw right there. So I'm going to use my cordless screwdriver, but you can use a screwdriver if you wish. Hopefully I'm not too much into this picture, but all right, so there's the screw off of there. And the reason I'm doing the wires first is because once I take the anchor bolts off, then the wires will just would be the only thing holding up that plate, or that lamp assembly. So I'm just going to basically make sure that once I take the anchors off, I'm ready to go. All right. Again, I always treat them like they're live, so try not to touch the bare ends as much as possible. Okay, so let's take these 2 anchor bolts off, right here and right here. And I don't know if they're anchored to the drywall or if they're using a toggle bolt. From the size of them, I'm suspecting they're toggle bolts, and I'll show you what that is after I start taking these off. So let's get at one. Yeah, they're toggle bolts. Here's what I was talking about when I was referring to toggle bolts. This is what the actual whole assembly looks like. So these are the bolts you saw me taking out of the bracket. And behind them they have this little butterfly apparatus that locks up against the wall and gives you an anchor to tighten up against. The problem with that anchor is that, if you can see there, is that if it's here, it's just going to spin and spin and spin and spin in both directions, right? And there's a danger that if you spin it, in the wrong direction fast enough, it'll just spin off. So you don't want that to happen. So the best way to avoid that is pull the screw tight against the wall like that and tighten it up like so. So now you know why I was using the wrench to hold pressure on when I was taking it out. I guess I could have used the bracket too to pull on it, but I didn't want to bend the bracket. I just want to pull the screw off. So that's the way I did it with my open end wrench like that. I guess I could have used my finger too, but that's kind of dangerous. If there's any slivers of metal on that, you're going to get it in the finger. So just use it like that and pull it out. And how can I tell that once I loosen them off, they just spin around without actually being any, backing off any longer? And we need to take that off, right? So that's the big job here, and spinning it around and around and around, it's not going to get us there. So what you need to do is you need to back the screw off far enough that you can put some tension behind it. So I'll do that. And you do that by pulling on it and turning. If you pull on it and turn, the butterfly bracket on the back actually grips the wall, and then you can go from there. Now, one little trick I use is I just use I put a wrench behind it like that, an open-end wrench, that's an 8mm, and I apply pressure away from the wall. So now I'm just going to put my screwdriver, my driver in here and show you what happens. The butterfly bracket is now going to be, I'm trying to not be in the angle of this so you can see it. Tough place to be. Okay, all right, so now I'm just going to apply pressure away from the wall and back that bolt all the way out. That's the way you get one of them out, and hopefully on the next one I'll get you a better angle so you can see what exactly I just did there. So let me set that up. So I'm going to take this second bolt out now. Now, just so you know, this only is, an issue with me and my setup because there's a toggle bolt holding this bracket up. It's not necessarily what you're going to have. You may just have a normal anchor in the wall and it'll come right out. But in my case, it's not. And, if that's an issue for you, this will work. And even if you have a normal anchor and it's stripped, this will work as well too. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. Same thing I just did, just showing you the same procedure again. So we're going to put the cordless on it. Again, if you don't have a cordless, well, a screwdriver will do. So, and then we're going to spin it. And as you can see, now my bracket is starting to come loose. So next, just to get this to come out quicker, I'm going to do my trick with the wrench here. Just put it underneath the screw. Now you can do that with your finger too, but I mean, you never know. There might be a little burr on it, a little piece of metal sticking out on the bolt. So I'm just going to do that to it, and I'm pulling towards me and just holding the actual light bracket too. The anchor has to be 40 feet long. Anyway, there it is, out. So let me back that up here so you can see the whole mess all at once. There it is. So I'm taking that off, and now this just your screws, your wires will come through the center hole here. And I'm just going to push one at a time in there, and you can see I put the connectors back on there because, hey, what the heck. So there's the back bracket, holding bracket coming off. And I see a few problems I'm going to have here. Number one, I don't know who the construction guy was, but it wasn't me. And, I don't think he owned a drill. It looks like the only way he knew how to get through a wall was to smash it. And then here on the anchor points, again, he could have just drilled a nice hole in there, but no, there's a great big hole there and another great big hole there. So I might need to patch that, number one. And whoever owned this house, obviously, they painted the around the light fixture. So I'm going to probably have to paint this up to cover up all this white. And so I'll do that. I have a few problems. The first one is that whoever installed the lamp last sort of did a hack job on it, but I can recover from that without much issue by using the same kind of hardware they used to put it back up. But I understand that you may not have the same hack job. You actually may have a junction box right here. And if you do have a junction box with a wire coming out of it, you could actually use the junction box to secure it using one of these slots here, or the inner slots, or any one of these 4 screws that you have sticking, or sorry, 4 holes that you have sticking out around that hole. Okay, so this kit actually comes with 2 metal screws that you could use to put into a junction box. So there we go. And they look like that. Let me get it in focus. There we are. And basically you could just use those to secure that whole bracket to a junction box. I don't have a junction box, but if you do, you could use that and those metal screws to go in there. Make sure you use the right ones, that you don't use the ones meant for the drywall anchor that look like that. Basically they're fine pitch, they're a rough pitch, and these are the ones you use for the drywall anchors. You don't use the fine pitch screws that you have right here. Get it in focus. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. That one goes into, that's a fine pitch metal screw, and it's used to go into a junction box to hold the bracket. So it takes care of that mounting option. I don't have. I also don't have the option to put anchors where I'm supposed to, because that's centered up right there. And as you can, I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me just see if I can zoom in on that. But the hole in the drywall is right where the mounting, where the anchor would go, the drywall anchor would go. And the same on this side. Though it looks like it's white, it's just right on the edge of the hole. So if I try to put an anchor there, it would just break off. So what you would do with your bracket, or your, this bracket, is actually use a little Sharpie, and you would mark it right in the center of the hole, and again mark it in the center of the hole, and you'd be ready to go. You could at that point drill a hole in there and put your anchors in. But I don't have that option, so I'm going to show you how to do a normal anchor. I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one here, but I can't use that space to actually anchor the bracket, because number one, if I went far enough over to actually use it as an anchor point, then I'll show you what happens. These are the other 2 here. Okay, so what would happen is that my anchor points would be too close to this broken drywall here. I might actually be able to get away with it, but regardless, I'm going to put the anchors in here, and like I said, centered up is this mark here and that mark there. So again, make sure when you're marking those holes that your bracket is actually level. So let me do that again. Like that. All the way over is basically where I'm centered on the wall. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm using the old paint there to and the top of the mirror to see what level is. Okay, and I can eyeball it pretty good. Again, little mark and little mark. I could use the top and bottom as well, but there's also leaner there as well. There's also another broken piece of drywall there. So they really sort of, constrain what I can do here. But I'll put those anchors in just to show you how to put the anchors in. One more thing I wanted to show you, in case that you're worried about the metal actually cutting the wire or cutting into the wire. It actually has a stamped rounded edge, so it's not sharp at all there. So when you're running the wires through the center, it will not cut the wire. So there's no need to do anything special there. All right, I'm going to use my cordless drill and my 15/64 bit to get those, to put a few holes into that drywall. And I got it on the slow setting. There you go, yes I do. And so we're going to go in through that drywall right there, and that's where the anchors are going to go, and try to go as straight as possible too. Okay, so obviously in the other anchor point, I probably have a piece of wood behind it. Let me check. And yes, I do. That's okay, the anchor will go into that as well. So next thing, put your anchor in. So there, it's perfect size. Actually, I think the 15/64 is the best size to use. I think the 1/4 inch would be just a bit too big. There we go. Second one in like that. Next, you put the bracket on there. Now, normally these two anchors would be going on the outside. I would put them on the outside, what do you call it, holes of the bracket, because it makes it that much more sturdy. But right now I'm just showing you how to put an anchor into the drywall, basically, not actually where to actually mount this. So let me just put that in there, and we're going to pretend that I'm going to be using those to secure the actual bracket. I mean, I'm going to put them in. Why not? It doesn't really hurt. All right, that last anchor went right through the drywall. So again, as I said, not the best, you know, way to put this in. But I got some security there. So let me back those out and show you what actually happened here. All right, here's my anchor that failed. It's just spinning around here. Basically, the drywall isn't holding it tight enough. So I basically drilled too large a hole. Even 11/64 is too large for this. So I'm going to do it again. The other anchor is right in there because it's in the wood, and it's very, very solid. So what I'm going to do is put this anchor somewhere else, maybe down here somewhere, whatever. Basically, I'm just doing this to show you how to put the anchor in, and obviously I just did not put the anchor in correctly. So I'm going to use a smaller drill bit, and I'm going to be using the 13/64. So let's do that. I'll put this bracket back up, and like I said, I'm not going to be using these anchors myself. So we know we got one there that's going to be good here. This one, no good, right? So let's take that out of there. Show you how hard that is. That's it. You just put the screw into it and pull it out. So back to that point. Get the marker out, and I'm just going to put it right here, because I am sure it will be fine right there. With a smaller drill bit. Next, we put that anchor in. And I will show you an alternative set of anchors to use, which work way better than these little plexi ones. And I should have known that these wouldn't be that great. There we go. That's a little tighter in there. It looks like it doesn't want to go all the way in. So that's good. That means it's going to be nice and tight when it expands. So I'll use a little tapping on that and get it all the way down. Just tap it flush with the wall. Don't go too crazy. Remember, you're tapping on, and I mean tapping, not smashing, on drywall. So you need to be careful with that. You can put the hammer right through it. So there's the anchor in. I'm going to test fit the screw into it, see if it's going to come out or whatever it's going to do. Yep, just going to go all the way in. So that's good. Okay, so I'm going to fit that in next with the bracket and the other one as well. And it should go just fine, because as I just tested it there. Let's put that bracket back up there, this time with the actual screws. So feed the wires through the center, like that. There's our bracket. We can put one screw here. So let's put that in there. That's that. Now, let me show you, back that off, how that's looking. It looks pretty good, you know, but there is some wobble to it, and it's only so tight you're going to be able to get it that way. So I am going to put these anchors in. All right, I said I would show you these Bulldog anchors at work, and they are the number 8s, AN-185s, and they're rated at 63 pounds. So they're a real anchor, not like these little chintzy ones that they sent you with. So first thing I like to do with any anchor, including self-tapping ones like these ones, I'd like to punch a little hole in the drywall as a guide so they don't skate and move from location. So I'm going to put a little hole in the places where I marked, which are here and here, which is higher than those. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm just going to drill a little bit, not a lot. I just want to give it a little basic hole for it to punch into the wall so it doesn't move around. So that's it. Just a little, basically punch hole for the actual anchor to not go skating around. So now we're going to put the number 8s in there. Like I said, once you use one of these anchors, you'll never use another anchor, not especially those chintzy ones that came with this thing. So basically the anchor acts like a screw. It's Phillips, so you just put the Phillips head on it, and that's it. You're ready to go. So I'll put my drill in here, and I'll get you an angle where you can see what I'm doing, like that, and just basically, and you don't have to go super fast. There we go, flush to the wall, not going anywhere. Number 1, let's do another one. Like I said, I love these anchors because they mean business. Okay, here we go. Put it in the pilot hole, and put it on the low speed setting. There we go. And that is not going anywhere. Nice and solid, nice and strong. So these also come with the screws to lock them down with. So at this point, we're just going to do that. And you know, they're just normal lockdown screws like those. We'll get our plate, set it up. Again, that's where that quick disconnect on this light kit is really handy. You just, you know, quickly just disconnect it and just take it off the wall. Doesn't take very long at all. Look at that. There we go. 1 and 2. We drill it in there, and we'll be done. So much better. All right, here we go. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. That's it. Now that plate is on there solid. It's not going anywhere. And that's why I like those Bulldog AN-185s, and they're the number 8s. And again, they're wall drillers, and they're just amazing anchors. At this point, I'm probably going to use another bit, a better bit, to tighten that down even further. The next step is putting that nice little electrical connector that I showed you at the beginning of the video on, and it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you how that works. We've got 3 wires, and one is yellow and green, one's white and one's black. The yellow and green is the ground, the black goes to the black wire, and the white goes to the white wire. So, you know, basically pretty simple to do. I already have the little twist-on connectors. You can use theirs. They have these little orange connectors that they came with, but those are much better from what I can see. So I'm going to use the ones that were there. And the ground goes into the ground plate right there. So basically, with the little screw that we found at the bottom of the box, that goes into that. I could also use the ground from the plate that came off, but I'm going to use all the hardware they gave me. So let's put the wire on first. So take off the insulators at the end of the wires, just pull them off. Nicely pre-cut for you. I like to twist the wires a little bit, and I go clockwise with all of them, just to keep them from fraying as much as they would if you didn't do it. Some people like to solder them, but I don't think that's necessary. All right, so we'll start with the white. So basically you do is you put the wire next. Let's get all these wires apart here. There we go. You put the wire next to it, and I'm doing the white one first. So what I do is I put the one wire right next to the other lead, then put the cap on there like so and twist. And that should twist both wires together. And once you get the cap on really tight, that's it. It's not going anywhere. Now, like I said, you can use the little orange ones that came with this too. They will work. But I just find that these twist-ons seem to be a lot nicer for this job. So I'm going to use them. Why downgrade if you don't have to? So again, black on black. Put the two wires beside each other and screw the cap on. Now make sure there's no wire sticking out, because any wire sticking out could short the circuit. So twist, twist, twist. You'll get it. There we go. Not going anywhere. And last but not least, we're going to do the ground. And the ground goes to the ground plate. So you take the ground wire, which is the bare copper wire, you see right here, and this bare wire as well. So they're both going to go to the plate. So actually, yes, to the plate and to the wire. Okay, I'm going to connect the ground wire to the green wire to the ground wire. They also say as well that you can take the ground wire and attach it to the plate. So seeing as we have a lot of extra wire here, I'm going to do both. So I'm going to take the ground wire, attach it to the back plate. Okay, I'm going to make a tight loop in that copper wire. I'm using a pair of pliers to do so. And basically what I want to do is make this hole small enough to let the back plate screw go through, but not let it basically go right through the hole. So I'm just going to squeeze that up a little bit. It's copper, it's very bendable, so don't worry about it. There we go. That should do it. And I'm going to take that screw back out again. And do it right this time. There we go, just like that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be super tight, just on there. And then of course we're going to take the copper wire, the green wire, and put that on there. So the green is ground, so let's put that on there with one of their little connectors. See if that works. Go. So wire beside the wire, just like that. Basically put the two wires next to each other and then put the twist-on connector on there. There we go. So now we got all three wires connected and this little quick clip on here. So we're ready to go with that. Let's take these wires and basically bend them as flat to the panel as we can go. Like that. Ready to go. So next we put on the lamp assembly. Now the nice thing about this whole lamp assembly, let me zoom it out here, is that you can just take the quick connect and put it on there and off we go. Now depends on which way you want to go with this, straight up or straight down, it's up to you. And careful with the edges here, because I just found out they can be sharp. I cut my finger a little bit. So just be careful with the edges. They might be a little jagged. And so the clip just clips on. go like that, clip it on, okay? And make sure that the lock goes on it, and mine is on the lock. Right there, you can see it right there. And just wrap up the wires any way you want, like that. And as long as they're under the cover, you're good. There we go. All right, so next we got to get our little bolts, those little nuts that it came with. Okay, and they just twist on clockwise like normal nuts would. And it's starting to look good. Now, before you go any further, I suggest the next thing you do is put a light bulb into it, and you know, turn on your breaker, and make sure that you've got electricity going through there, because you don't want to assemble the whole thing, find out that you got a short or that it's not right. So I'm going to get a light bulb here, and we're going to do that. All right, they say maximum 60 watts on this, or 13 watts of the CFLs. So I'm just going to put one in here. I've turned my breaker on. Do a little test here. And success, we have light. So I'm going to take that bulb out, and we're going to put the rest of the hardware in here, and I'll show you how that works. And it's basic, you know, turning something clockwise. So you have your shade, and it goes on, of course, downwards like that. And like I said, I'm going to take these stickers out because I find them annoying. I know what it takes. There we go. All right. So you take your shade, you take your lock. Okay, there's your lock. And you want these little handles on the lock to be facing up, so it's easy to get at. So that's basically what you do, and then you put your lock in and twist it and put it on clockwise this way. Okay, so I'm going to do that. All right, we're looking down inside the bulb. We've got our little lock with the handles facing upwards, and basically just turn it, you know, so you get a good normal bite on it. You probably can't see much in this anyway, but it is a little tricky. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it's a very hard angle for me to show you that, but that's it. Turn the lock clockwise, then your shade is on nice and tight. Do the same for all three. All right, all the shades are locked down. Next thing to do is put all the light bulbs in, and then you are done. So let's do that. All right, there they are, turned on and looking good. I'm quite impressed with the actual look of them, and the function is great. So for $20, I don't think you can beat it. I think it's a great value. I'll put the link for this on the video description from Amazon. The only thing that I would do different if I were to do it again is I wouldn't use their anchors. Their anchors are pretty chintzy, they're pretty weak, and they only give you 2, right? So, I mean, if you were using those weak anchors, I would say use more than 2. I would use probably, you know, 4 of them, but even then, they're still weak anchors. I prefer the Bulldog Hardware wall drillers, and they're much better anchor. They actually can hold up to 63 pounds of weight each. So 2 of those anchors will do the job just fine. They're self-tapping, so you don't have to drill the wall or anything. And basically, they're way better. So I'll put a bonus feature on the video showing you how those Bulldogs go. All right, one final look after the Bulldog anchors. I've got it fully fitted. I actually moved it up, and now my mirror frame fits perfectly underneath it. It looks really nice. So let me just zoom it in for you. Again, for $20, you can't beat it, but I highly suggest getting those Bulldog anchors instead of the chintzy ones they sell you with this kit. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor, click on the like button right down here. And you know, if you wish to subscribe to my channel, just click on this link up here, and that should subscribe you to the Richard Lloyd channel, or Richard Lloyd USA channel. Okay, again, thank you very much for your time and watching.